They love me.
That's why he's everything! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Hey! Come on, man! That's too easy!
They try to run my house. I'm out of spare side. Yeah, they right in my pocket. I pocket they pants side. Yeah, that trying to get on my pockets. She got have an ass side. I got some shit on my pockets. I bought the whole ass shot. 250 dash speed in my ass. 250 dash speed in my ass. I got some killers, they right in my legs. We just ain't trying to ain't worry about no bad.
Yo, let's fucking go, man. That's my GOAT right there, dude. The GOAT is motherfucking back, man. Damn. I don't care anymore, bro. Like, enough time has passed. It's time for me to say this, but Shinn Asuka is the motherfucking GOAT. Let's go, dude. The character arc, crazy, man. Look, yo, I don't even know where to start. Like, I just got home from watching Seed Freedom, bro. Like, look, at first, I didn't want to believe it, bro. At first, I was like, damn, could this movie really be that good? From what people were telling me, I had to see it to believe it now. And after I just saw it, bro, I was like, damn. It's a fucking good ass movie, you know. Sorry, for cussing and all that, but dude, the movie though, the action scenes carried. It's crazy. You know, the movie really reminded me a lot of Spider-Man 3 and One Piece Stampede. It had a lot of like fan service and all that stuff, but it was just like nicely placed fan service. It wasn't too much or too little. It was just evenly placed throughout the movie, and that was good, man. Some good ass shit right there, bro. God damn, man. Like, even the movie itself was like a One Piece movie, bro. I swear. Like, you can tell from my attitude right now that I'm speechless, dog. Like, that movie, whew, was some good shit, man. Alright, anyways, let's just look. I don't even know where to start for this video essay, but dude, I had to pop a bottle, man. Shit was crazy. Like, once I saw Shinn in the movie, like wrecking shit up, I was like, damn, that's my GOAT right there. Whew, let's go, man. Let's fucking go. Alright, to start with this video essay, I'm just gonna say this, alright? But Shinn was the realest one in the whole movie, and even in the novel, I swear, dog. Now, I'm not gonna be like one of those people and act like his character arc in Seed Freedom was all perfect, because, you know, it was a little flawed, but for what it was, I still enjoyed it a lot. And as a lot of you may know, Shinn has been one of my favorite characters in the Gundam franchise, actually. And I know a lot of people have been saying like, oh, what happened to him in Seed Destiny, you know, they did him dirty and all that. And yes, I'm not gonna ignore the events that happened in the last 2 decade-old anime, even though it was, yes, a mixed bag, but you know, I have to come to terms that it happened, and it happened. Seed Destiny happened, but with the cons of Seed Destiny comes the pros of Seed Freedom. Alright, so Shinn in this movie, right, he really has grown, but deep inside, he's still the same guy that we've known throughout the story of Seed Destiny. He's kind of like Camille in a sense. Like, even though they do go through characteristic changes over the course of the story, they're still the same old character at their core, if you guys know what I'm trying to say. So the growth of Shinn that I speak about is not referring to his skills as a pilot per se, but rather the depth and evolution of his interpersonal relationships with his friends and comrades around him. Alright, so you guys remember, right? Looking back a couple months back on my Shinn Asuka analysis video, I said that the Shinn of Seed Destiny really didn't have anyone else to, you know, to relate to his past, and as such, he really didn't open up to anyone for the first half of the show until much later on. And not only was he really super closed off with everyone around him with a few exceptions, but the guy really was just always angry and had trouble connecting with others all the time. So in a sense, what I'm trying to say is that Shinn really had a hardened exterior that really rubbed off people the wrong way. But by the time the ending of the anime happens, or should I say the Special Plus edition, ending 4, Shinn himself is seen more open towards the people around him, and he's seen connecting towards them. If you guys remember, right? The Ore Monolith scene where he shook Kira's hands and all that. In a sense, he's being more open and loosening up towards other people outside of his circle. Seed Freedom further expands his concept as originally seen in the Special Edition and HD Remastered ending of episode 50 by having Shinn becoming more open and trusting with those around him.
キラさん、俺から行きますよ。
Alright man, what I start? Look. Whew. Alright, speaking of freedom, let's talk about the relationship of the pilot, Kira Yamato, and Shinn Asuka. Look, even if they started off as enemies, it's actually quite refreshing to see the two actually being allies to another. Shinn in the movie and in the novel essentially wants Kira to not only rely on him, but wants to share the same burden the pilot of the Freedom faces in this movie. The burden of fighting and protecting what matters most to you. A particular line in the novel is ushered by Shinn's inner thoughts, and to quote, "It wasn't just about wanting recognition for himself. Lately, while watching Kira, Shinn felt a growing unease. Despite his incredible abilities in repelling enemies, he always looked somber, burdened, as if bearing an invisible weight. Shinn wished he could share that burden with them, which is the whole reason he came here." Look, once again, I have to say it again, alright? But that's some real ass shit right there, and it says a lot about Shinn's character and how much he's grown. And for Shinn to actually take notice of Kira's situation makes a lot of sense to me, because after all, remember, Shinn really was in that situation as Kira once before, back in Sea Destiny, if you guys remember. Shinn used to fight alone, right? He used to carry the burden of fighting to protect those he loved. He used to have the same somber, sad eyes of Kira. And of course, Shinn knows firsthand how unhealthy it is to keep everything bottled inside, because that very same burden Shinn carried himself eventually broke him down in the last half of Destiny. Kira is essentially doing what Shinn did in the last half of Destiny, fighting alone to protect everyone else so that they don't go through the same things he once did. In a sense, what I'm trying to say is, if Kira is fighting for the smiles of everyone, who's gonna fight for his? If Kira's the sword that fights on the raging battlefield, who's gonna be his shield? Shinn wants to be that shield and share the burden of conflict, to be there for Kira, to prevent him from going down the same path Shinn once carried out in the past. He wants to let Kira know that he doesn't have to do this alone, and that there's people, friends, to rely and trust on, which is what Athrun tried to tell Kira in the last half of the movie, actually. And of course, Shinn is one of these allies and friends to rely on. And in a sense, the simple guy just wants to be trusted as a shield that protects. As a shield that protects not only Kira, but everyone else. Man, he's so real for that, bro. So fucking real. What can I say, bro? Like, you guys already know, man. Like, I get horny from some good ass character development, man. No matter what anime I'm talking about. Alright, anyways, now going off on a tangent, I really feel that the way Shinn acts in this movie is actually partially due to Athrun's influence that has really rubbed off on Shinn in a really good way, actually. So, yeah, I know in the movie, Shinn and Athrun really didn't really talk that much besides the briefing room, but there was actually one funny scene in the hangar base where, if you guys took notice, right, it was just 1 second. Yeah, it's a blink and you'll miss a moment, but once Shinn got the Destiny Gun again, he was like, oh hell yeah, we can beat them now, we can beat the Black Knights. And if you actually look across, right, Athrun's actually seen smiling alongside Shinn, so that was actually kind of funny, actually. Shows that they actually do get along despite what other people think. Yeah. So going back on what I'm trying to say, Athrun in Sea Destiny was a really complex kind of guy, but one thing that always remained semi-consistent with his character was him trying to get Shinn to expand his horizons and to be more open-minded to others around him. And because of this, I really do feel that Athrun's impression is partially the reason why Shinn is no longer closed-minded that much anymore. Shinn in a way really has accepted and taken to heart the words his mentor has once spoken to him. Now going back to Kira and Shinn, I once said that Shinn is a very impressionable kind of guy. He follows and respects those with admirable traits. It is actually one of the main reasons why Shinn is allies with Kira now. The same words ushered by Kira about flowers left an impact on him. The ideals of rebuilding the future, fighting for the same cause. I don't know how many times I'm gonna say it, but I said it once and I'll say it again. Kira and Shinn are as different as they may be, but the two share the same dreams and ideals of ending conflict and moving towards peace. Alright, I know that some of you guys actually do have a problem with certain characteristics of both Kira and Shinn. And I know a lot of people have been saying like, oh, I don't really like Kira because he's idealistic. And I have to say this, right? I'm not really the biggest fan of Kira, but I'm okay with them being idealistic and having hope for the future, because it is actually one of the essentially main themes of Gundam as a whole. Moving past anger and hatred to understand another may seem simple on paper, but it is actually a very complex concept in actuality. So Shinn realizes that Kira is not so different from him, and even if they were enemies at one point in Sea Destiny's story, Shinn knows that both of them want and wish for the same thing, which is why he walks in Kira's path and to an extent admires his kindness and abilities. So in a sense, Shinn does have certain qualities of the themes of Gundam. The guy has moved past his anger and hatred to start focusing on the present at hand, and by joining up with Kira, I feel like he has grown to the point where he can accept others that once were his enemies. That's pretty real. But of course, their relationship is without flaw. Kira's non-verbal personality has caused a bit of distrust upon Shinn, as the young lad feels that he's not really needed or trusted by his superior. And this is actually far from the truth. Kira does trust Shinn, but because Kira is a man of a few words, it makes it hard for him and Shinn to actually fully understand each other, if you guys know what I'm trying to say. And of course, it makes it hard for Shinn to truly reach out to Kira. Of course, later in the movie, near the end, it does get fixed when Kira finally allows himself to share his burden with others. Remember how I said in the beginning of my video that Shinn finally has friends and allies that understand and are there for him? So this primary factor really is the driving force of why Shinn is more chill and laid back now in the movie, offering a change in his characteristics from what we've seen in Sea Destiny. Don't get me wrong, guys, he's still the same hot-blooded warrior, but outside battle, nah, he's chilling big time, dog. There's multiple instances in the movie where Shinn actively works together and calls out for support on the battlefield, something he really doesn't do much in Sea Destiny. Shinn is no longer fighting alone anymore. He has allies and friends, all fighting for a common desire. And because of all these personal relationships, Shinn is allowed to be more laid back. And of course, he has more comedic moments in the movie. Shinn really is allowed to be himself, to be the kid that he never got the chance to be. The same innocent guy that has now regained his long-lost smile after all the events that have transpired in his heart. I get this impression that even if Shinn does seem like a childish, simple guy at times, I feel that he has matured and grown in some other ways. Case in point, when Agnes berated and called him names. Look, the old Shinn would have definitely fired back, but the new Shinn really doesn't care much about Agnes's comments all that much. And of course, why would he? The guy has an understanding girlfriend and comrades that share the same ideals, so of course, yeah, he really doesn't care all that much for what Agnes has to say. Because you wanna know why? Because Shinn himself is a determined guy and will always carry on. There's a certain line that I also want to mention before continuing. It's when Agnes refers to Shinn as the freedom killer and as Durando's puppet or dog, depending on the subtitles or novel. It's a little weird, the translation stuff, but anyways. Yes, Shinn does take it to heart a bit, but like I said before, man, it is in Shinn's character to remain diligent to the goals he has set himself upon. If he wants Kira to rely on him, then he'll keep on striving for that same very goal. If Shinn wants to fight to end conflict, then he'll keep pushing for it, etc, etc. You guys know what I'm trying to say with this. And that's what I really like about him, his characteristic to keep on moving and persevering, even when people give him shit for it. And even in Sea Destiny, you can still see that. Anyways, look, even in the novel, when Shinn was reflecting on his wrongdoings for following the Destiny plan, even if the lad knows he was wrong, the guy still keeps on pushing onwards, remaining diligent to his self-imposed goals in the present, despite what happened in the past. Because he has grown to the point where looking back into the past shouldn't be all that necessary when there's a road that lies ahead in the everlasting present that leads into the never-ending future. And once again, dog, that is so fucking real. Damn. Let's go, man. It's time for me to get to the spicy part of the video. The Destiny going beast mode, absolutely ham on the Black Knights. Look, I know I've been kind of glazing at the movie a lot in this video, but look, that shit was so hype. I swear, like in the movie theaters, bro, my heart was racing, man. My palms were actually sweating. I was like, woo, man, sunrise, sunrise, sunrise. The animation was crisp. It was heat. Good ass animation. Oof. Gundam fans be eating good lately. Oof. Let's go. Like, that team up with Hilda was pretty cool too. Like, seeing Shinn working alongside others really shows the growth of his teamwork and trust in his allies. Alright, look, another key moment in that battle that I want to point out is how Shinn doesn't think. It's a little, you know, comedic moment, but it's actually quite in character for him. So, in the beginning of the movie, Shinn does have a little minor character arc where he was doubting himself if he really was worthy of the justice or worthy of helping Kira, being his shield. And of course, during the final battle, Kira does contact Shinn personally just to tell him, look Shinn, you can do it. You protect the Millennium and protect everyone else. Kira, he's putting his trust on Shinn. And Shinn, of course, he's delighted and frees himself of all the little doubts he had since the beginning of the movie. And it's kind of, it's actually kind of funny because you know how overthinking is a very vital point in Sea Destiny, and I'm looking at you, Athrun. It's actually smart of the writers to simply just say, don't think, and just live in the present. I'm trying to compare Shinn with Athrun, right? Because Athrun, he was plagued with that issue back in Sea Destiny. He was always overthinking, but it's a simple message really. Sometimes you don't need to overthink that much and just remain in the present. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of what Jamil told Garrett in Gundam X. Don't think, just run. Even the Spec 2 with the hints of raised colors are a very nice touch, and it really surprised me in the movie. Shinn, even after losing Rei, still decides to honor his memory by painting the Arondite white, which is honestly very poetic. Shinn's sword and most trusted primary weapon is in the colors of his best friend, symbolizing Rei's position as Shinn's most trusted and right-hand man. A trusty sword embedded with the wishes of Rei, fighting alongside Shinn once again. Dude, so fucking real. What can I say, bro? Okay. And now you guys are gonna get tired of me saying all that stuff. Enough of me fanboying for now, but what I want to talk about now is how Shinn protected Lunamaria and all of his allies. So going back to what I said about Shinn being the shield that protects, there's also someone else out there that wants to fight for his smile too and protect him. That being Lunamaria. I'm not gonna get into it too much, but the theme of Seed Freedom was about love and being equal in love. Shinn and Lunamaria has come a long way. I always felt that it was always him protecting her during battle, but the novel and movie actually makes it very clear that Luna herself is capable of protecting Shinn. You know, not going to lie, Shinn and Luna's relationship did have some rocky moments, but knowing that the two had the same purpose of fighting to protect one another, which is icing on the cake. It was perfect to the last detail. But of course, just like everything in life, there are some imperfections and flaws of the script of Seed Freedom that I have to point out with Shinn's characteristics actually. So of course, I noticed that a lot of people have problems with Shinn white knighting Kira and coming to his defense a lot in the movie. And to be fair, I do understand what you guys have been saying, but in actuality, it kinda makes sense. Kinda. So remember back in Seed Destiny, right? Shinn kinda did the same thing with Athrun. Shinn was like Anakin to Athrun's Obi-Wan. Shinn wanted Athrun to trust in his abilities and almost seemed like Shinn wanted him to be on his side and support him. Well, Athrun on the other hand does care for Shinn, but because of his harsh and non-verbal behavior, it makes it really hard for Athrun to really understand and be on the same wavelength as Shinn due to say, personality traits. And by the time Operation Angel Down happened, Shinn did seem to want Athrun's approval by taking down the Freedom despite the Zaf Super Ace coming off as a little bit arrogant. After all, Shinn has followed Athrun's words during that battle. He followed orders and he remained as Zaf's trump card. But because Shinn really didn't understand Athrun in a deep emotional way, Shinn really ended up hurting Athrun unintentionally. So what I'm trying to really say is that Shinn, he wants Kira's approval so that he can be on his side, so that Kira can rely on Shinn's abilities, so that of course Kira won't have to bear all the burden of fighting alone all the time. So Kira and Shinn, it kind of mirrors the relationship that Shinn and Athrun kind of had, if you guys get what I'm trying to say. But anyways, look, so the way both Kira and Shinn acted in this movie really has some flawed moments, and there's one of them I actually have to talk about. So during the sword fight scene between Graham Acre and Shinn, so when Shinn came to Kira's rescue because he wanted to fight for him, and in doing so he lost in Kira's stead, and it actually kind of makes sense because it's in Shinn's characteristics actually to actually run to rescue other people that he wants to protect. I can early see Destiny. Did the dude not risk his life doing a Junius drop just to rescue Athrun, someone he really didn't really know all that much? What about that one time when he jumped off the cliff to help Stella? He didn't really know her. I mean, well, he kind of touched her, you know what, yeah, whatever. And how about that one time, huh, when Shinn freed all those slave workers during episode 16 or something, right? Yeah. So it's always in Shinn's characteristics to actually try and help other people. Although I know what you guys mean about this being a primary example of Shinn white knighting Kira. I actually don't think it's all that bad. I just think it's just real as hell that Shinn was fighting for Kira and for Compass when Graham Acre just insulted them right in front of their faces. Shinn got balls for that, bro. He stood up for everybody, even though he got his ass handed to him and Agnes berated him. I know he got mad at her at that, but look, he took the fall for everyone, right? And that's kind of real for that, bro. Look, what I'm trying to say is that Shinn, he got a lot of heart, bro. That's some real stuff. But I don't know, man. This moment kind of did feel a little bit off because I'm not sure if that's something Kira would do. You know, letting someone under your command be treated like that. I'm not too sure because I don't know, man. I always expected Commander Kira to actually, stick up for his comrades and stuff, but I don't know, man. It felt a little weird. And I know that, look, what I'm trying to say is, look, it's just like the relationship between Kira and Shinn has some good moments, of course, as seen in the earlier parts of my video, but there's also some moments where I just can't seem to truly support it. That's what I'm trying to say. It just felt like Shinn was like Tom Holland's Spider-Man to Tony Stark. You guys know the MCU, Iron Boy Jr. and all that. It just felt kind of like that. Look, there's some great moments, of course, but I truly wanted Shinn to actually move in his own direction, move his own path, just like in the Super Robot Wars games. I hate to be that guy, but I just had to say it. I'm sorry, guys. Look, I mean, it's okay if the writers want Shinn to fight for Kira and to be his shield, and that's great actually, but I don't know, I feel like certain games have done it a little bit better. And Super Robot Wars really pushed my expectations 100-fold. Shinn still respects both Athrun and Kira in said games, but he still remains diligent in another goal, being able to one day surpass both Kira and Athrun, and as such he remains a hard worker so that one day he'll be as great as the two legendary heroes, if not one day even greater. Speaking of, the novel and movie did imply that Shinn was trying to live up to Kira and Athrun's legacy by adopting the no-kill rule in Immortal Justice. This of course really doesn't fit Shinn's fighting style, and I was actually really pleased to see him absolving all of his minor troubles in the final battle and coming to terms that the only way he can fight in his own style was just being a beast with Destiny, just going for a full kill right away. Fukuda himself said it best in an interview: Shinn's fighting style works best with Destiny's speed that pierces through the enemy. And alright, anyways, so going back on the games. Meanwhile, in Super Robot Wars V, Shinn and Kira both have a rocky, uneasy relationship at first due to the events of Sea Destiny. Although Shinn fights alongside Kira in the beginning, he is still a little distrustful of him. Shinn remains clouded in his thoughts due to his inability to rid himself of the guilt of going with the Destiny plan, to the point where he even loses his seed factor for a couple of the early stages. It is not until Shinn himself removes all abstractions of his decisions to join with Kira that he truly regains Seed Mode and his fighting spirit. To make it even better is that there's an exposition by Athrun in V claiming that Shinn must have come to the realization of the truth during Setsuna's quantum burst, which of course connects the individuals' minds together. With Shinn claiming that although it did help, he mainly came to the realization of the truth by himself. What I'm trying to say is that I think that the relationship of Kira and Shinn, while good, does have some hiccups in the movie, and it's why I really think it's a little mixed on my opinions. But from what it was still pretty great actually. I'm not really a hater, but like I said, it's not perfect, but it's still good. So this section of the video is actually recorded an hour or two after this. It's like 2 a.m. right now. I'm kind of tired. Anyway, so I went back to my comment section, and one comment actually stood out to me, and the guy said that it really is a miracle that Shinn by the end of Destiny still remained intact, because even after all he went through, all his placing his ideals on Orb, then Zaf, and then just getting betrayed left and right, and he really doesn't have a place to go after that. So it does make sense for Shinn to look up to Kira, and he's trying to find his way again. He's trying to find the path, the same path of righteousness, or the path that is correct. And once he talked to Kira, connected with them, like I said, maybe Shinn wants someone to guide him once again, because he was misguided, and maybe this makes sense for him, because he's been lost after Orb failed him, Zaf failed him, and maybe he wants to put his trust on someone else again. And I think that's what they're trying to go with the movie, Shinn and Kira and stuff. But yeah guys, I was just lost in thought, and I do think that a prequel can be a solution to help us further expand the relationship between Kira and Shinn, because I actually do want to see other turmoils they might have that were not seen in the movie, how Shinn got the immortal justice and all that. So I actually do want to see a prequel just to further expand on Shinn and Kira, and maybe even Athrun kinda. But yeah, all in all guys, I have to say Kira, the relationship between Kira and Shinn was actually pretty good despite the imperfections I mentioned. But anyways, that's just my opinion on the matter. Just don't let it deter your enjoyment of an already well-rounded out movie, in my opinion. My conclusion and ending thoughts. Alright, to end off this video, I want to explain why I call this the title, The Imperfect Rise of Shinn Asuka. I really do enjoy a lot of his actions in the movie. The title of this video is not because of the aforementioned flaws I just mentioned earlier. No, that's something else. Rather, I'm referring to what the character represents as a whole. So I was looking back through interviews actually, and Morisawa actually initially created Shinn to be a more realistic MC as opposed to Jesus, Kira Yamato, and Athrun, who was a prince. In my opinion, I do think that Morisawa's ideas of Shinn actually worked. From his characteristics and mannerisms, he seems very appropriate for his age. And I know in the movie a lot of people have been saying Shinn acted immature, but like I said, he got the chance to be the kid that he never got to be. And I want to expand more upon his failures in the finale right now, the conclusion. So Shinn lost his family, best friend, and even his ex. But you know what? Guess what? He never stopped trying, did he? He kept on moving and remained focused. It is because of his imperfections and failures that made him a more captivating character than both Kira and Athrun. All the times that Shinn failed, he always got back up. And even in this movie, I think it paid off, because after all of his failures, it seems like he's more happy now. He regained his smile, he's no longer angry. It's like the character development is actually quite good, and that's why it's called The Imperfect Rise of Shinn Asuka, man. The realest one in the whole movie. Peace.